Chapel Hill? More like Chapel Bill. Bill Belichick, 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach of the New England Patriots, who engineered arguably the greatest dynasty in NFL history, is now the head coach at North Carolina. He's not just generating excitement around North Carolina's campus. No, he's generating excitement across the country, across the entire college football landscape. Will he have success with the Tar Heels like he did in the NFL with the Patriots? Can he have North Carolina in ACC title or college football playoff contention? There's a lot of questions surrounding this program, one that we're all going to be watching very, very closely, and one of the most intriguing storylines of the entire season. Before we break down what Bill Belichick is going to bring to the table and what North Carolina is going to do, let's look at how we got to this point, right? North Carolina, a couple years ago, made some shockwaves too, getting Mack Brown to come back to the program. Legendary head coach, I guess, of North Carolina, namely of Texas. He came back, went 44-33 in 6 years with the program. And I think his tenure, his second tenure with the Tar Heels, can be kind of defined by missed opportunities because he had talent, had some great quarterbacks. Sam Howell came through. Drake May came through. Had great guys. Had North Carolina in the top 10 3 times in the last 5 years. Another year, they were 9-1 and number 13 in the country. That was back in 2022. But they never won the ACC. They never made the college football playoff. And they never finished with more than 9 wins. Their best regular season was 9-3 back in 2022. That's when they made the ACC championship, lost to Clemson. They lost their bowl game to finish 9-5. So, they have the talent. They were in position so many times, and they always would choke against a team they shouldn't. Georgia Tech, Virginia, someone like that, and it just all came crumbling down. So last year, this team went 3-0 to start the year, looking great. Then allowed James Madison to walk in and drop 70 on them. They had 3 one-possession losses in a 6-7 season, one where they lost their bowl game to UConn. That marked the end of the Mack Brown era, and they went out and hired Bill Belichick. That is how we got here. Just a wild run. Now, Belichick could only be here for 1 year. Many people believe he'll jump back to the NFL, where he's only, about 15 wins away from becoming the all-time winningest coach in NFL history. So, if I were him, I'd want to get back in there and reach that mark too. But at least for this year, North Carolina is going to enjoy this legendary head coach. Take a look at the offense, which is now led by offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens, the former head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and the defense is led by Steve Belichick, so a really good staff that Belichick's put together. The offense has averaged at least 30.9 points per game every year under Mack Brown. They were thriving under him. The offense was not the issue, it was the defense. Last year, they averaged 224 passing yards per game, 182 rushing yards per game, but they now lose Amarian Hampton, who rushed for over 1,600 yards last year. They also lose their top 2 passers. They lose Hampton. They lose their top 3 pass catchers. So Bill Belichick dipped into the portal, something that's a little bit new for him, but kind of like free agency now. Turned to Gio Lopez, transfer quarterback from South Alabama. He threw for over 2,500 yards last year, 18 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. Also rushed for over 460 yards and completed 66% of his passes. So a very talented young quarterback who I think will do very well in this offense and gives North Carolina an elite playmaker at the position because they really didn't have one. They running backs. Yeah, you lose Hampton. That's a huge loss. But Davion Goss looks solid. 326 yards last year, 4 touchdowns. Caleb Hood also returns to some young quarterbacks, but can be solid, we believe. Isaiah Johnson comes in at wide receiver from Michigan State. Kobe Paysour returns as well, 365 yards last year with the Tar Heels. And the offensive line. We know Bill Belichick. He's a defensive-minded guy, but he believes, as we all do, if you want to win games, you've got to be able to win in the trenches. You've got to have a good offensive line. You've got to have a good defensive line. Belichick recognized that, dipped into the portal. 155 starts coming in on the offensive line. 2 of the biggest transfers being Daniel King, second-team Sunbelt selection from Troy, and Will Osteen, first-team Conference USA selection at Jacksonville State. So the offense, despite having some question marks, I think can be better than people realize. Defensively, that's his strength, right? Man, this is Bill Belichick, man. This is one of the best defensive minds of all time, not just in college football, but NFL as well. I mean, he's absolutely elite. He does a fantastic job of developing talent. They do lose 8 of their top 10 tacklers from last year. That's a huge loss. They lose all 7 guys from up front last year. So North Carolina's defense certainly has some questions after giving up over 28 points per game and 376 yards per game, which ironically was the first time the Tar Heels allowed under 400 yards per game since 2019. So I guess they improved a little bit. They're going to need to improve a lot more now if they actually want to compete. The defensive line has a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience, not a lot of great talent up there. Smith Vilber in from Penn State, CJ Mims in from East Carolina, DeAndre Robinson in from Florida, but those 3 players combined have just 74 total tackles in their career. The linebacking core does have potential. Bryce Yates in from UConn. That's a huge pickup. 108 tackles, 12.5 sacks in the last 3 years for the Huskies. Mekhi Bayor coming in from Nebraska is a huge pickup as well. Gavin Gibson's in at the star position from Maryland, and I like their secondary quite a bit too. Marcus Allen returns, 2 interceptions last year. Caleb Koss returns, 2 interceptions last year, and they bring in Thaddeus Dixon from Washington, where Steve Belichick was the defensive coordinator formerly. So, this team, guys, there's a lot of unknowns for North Carolina, a lot of questions for North Carolina, but there is some talent. We know they've got a heck of a head coach, although I'm curious to see the transition from NFL to college. Typically, it's the other way around. Like, college to NFL typically does not go well for coaches. Will the same be said for Bill Belichick? Will NFL to college go poorly, or will he still thrive like he did in the league? That's the million-dollar question. They open the year up Labor Day Monday against TCU. All eyes on this game. The entire nation will be watching Bill Belichick's debut with the Tar Heels. And I'll tell you right now, I want to pick North Carolina so bad. I really do. I'm a huge Bill Belichick fan. I want him to do well here, but I cannot pick him to win his debut because I believe TCU can be that good. You're taking a North Carolina team with a completely new staff and a completely new core of players and so many questions on both sides of the ball against a TCU team that has continuity at the coaching position with Sonny Dykes, has one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 with Josh Hoover, who nearly threw for 4,000 yards, a team that has 8 starters back on defense, and North Carolina offense is going to be figuring out some kinks. This is not a great game for North Carolina to open up with. You wish it was against Charlotte or Richmond or someone like that. Instead, it's against a team that could challenge for a Big 12 title. I think TCU comes on the road and wins this game. Belichick 0-1. That's all the media will talk about. Oh, does Belichick still have it? Is he going to struggle? Because they don't have anything better to talk about because they don't know what they're talking about. They're going to be just fine. They're going to win their next 2. They're going to beat Charlotte. They're going to beat Richmond. And guess what? They're going to beat UCF. They're 3-1. They're going to be 3-1. And I know a lot of people will disagree with the UCF game, right? Bill Belichick versus Scott Frost at the Bounce House, where UCF is 42-9 over the last 8 years. So not an easy place to play. But the Knights out of the Big 12 are going to have some things to go through as well. They're going to have some growing pains. Even though Scott Frost is back and he did so well there, they don't have a lot of talent either. I'm not really sold on Taven Jackson possibly at quarterback. I'm not really sold on their defense that loses 12 of their top 13 tacklers from last year and is now led by Alex Grinch. Yikes. So, I think UCF goes through some growing pains this year, and I think right now, coaching edge goes to Bill Belichick. You could argue the offensive edge goes to North Carolina, and defensively, you could argue goes to North Carolina. So they own everything but home field advantage, and I think they can overcome that. So they're 3-1 coming out of the bye week, and that's huge because I think we all would love to see this game against Clemson in Chapel Hill be against a potentially undefeated Clemson team versus an undefeated or a one-loss North Carolina team. Just the storylines will be electric. The atmosphere will be electric. Could host college game day. I mean, it's going to be just awesome. But at the end of the day, I cannot pick North Carolina to win this game. I know people might be doing that. It's going to be ripe for an upset. Thinking Bill Belichick's going to get the signature win of his collegiate career, and I just can't pick him to do that because the Tigers are just that good. Kind of similar to what we just talked about the UCF game. Who owns the quarterback edge here? Clemson does with Cade Klubnik. Honestly, I think they own the offensive edge as a whole because you've got Klubnik, who's mobile as well. His top 3 pass catchers, strong offensive line. Defensively, edge goes to the Tigers. One of the best defensive lines in the country. Secondary looking really good as well. They own the edge in every aspect of this game with the exception of home field advantage, and I do believe the Tigers will overcome that. Should be a fun battle, though. Again, I love the coaching matchup here. Dabo Swinney, one of the best college coaches of all time, in my opinion, versus Bill Belichick, who I think is the best NFL coach of all time. Now meeting off, I mean, who would have thought that? One thing that would be better than that was seeing Belichick going up against Saban. That would have been great, but besides the point. Clemson gets the win. UNC is 3-2. They come out of their bye week, still going through the bulk of their ACC play. I think they're going to win their next 2. Because I really don't have a lot of faith in California. Some would say this is a trap game, long road trip for the Tar Heels. I'm not buying it. The Golden Bears, I don't think have a lot of talent there. They lose practically. And then they were gutted. They were gutted after last year. I mean, losing their pretty much entire offense, practically the entire defense. I just don't have faith in this team. I don't have faith in Justin Wilcox. So I think Bill Belichick has the team ready to go, especially on the road. They'll beat the Golden Bears. And I think they'll beat Virginia. A lot of logic going into this. Yes, Virginia improves. They've got some solid talent. Chandler Morris and at quarterback is a great pickup for the Cavaliers. And they'll challenge this North Carolina secondary, even though I'm relatively high on them. But North Carolina won this game 41-14 on the road last year. I know a lot's changed for both these programs, but I think North Carolina's gotten better. You could argue Virginia's gotten better. But if UNC wins by, 27 points? If UNC wins by 27 points last year, now has home field advantage with better coaching and a better team. I don't see how they lose to Virginia now. So I'm going to give them the win over the Cavaliers. They are 5-2, looking really good. Going on the road to Syracuse for a Halloween night matchup. Now, crazy things happen on Halloween, man. I tell you what. A lot of crazy stuff happens on Halloween. A midweek game, mind you. Those are even crazier things happen there. I'm going to go with Syracuse here. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't like that pick, have them losing to UCF. I think they split those two road games. The schedule really isn't that bad, but they're bound to slip up. So maybe you have them losing to UCF and beating Syracuse. I don't think they're going to win both. I certainly don't think they're going to lose both. But I'm going to have them losing to the Orange here because I think Fran Brown's going to have this team ready to go. He's an absolutely great head coach. And yes, the Orange will take a step back, but I think Steve Angeli is better than people think. I think he'll get better as the year goes on. His wide receiver core, a lot better than people realize too. Very underrated wide receiver core with the Orange. They've got 6 starters back on defense with a pretty solid defensive line, a pretty solid secondary. If Syracuse is in bowl contention at this point, their season isn't really a moot point by Halloween. I think this electric crowd's going to be a pretty big difference maker here. I like Fran Brown to get the win over Belichick's squad. I think it will be close and really a toss-up. But give me the Orange to get the job done. Belichick squad 5-3. But don't worry, they're going to clinch bowl eligibility and more. They're going to win their next 3 games. Because Stanford's one of the worst teams in the conference, will be one of the worst teams, I think, in the nation. They should cruise past them at home. Wake Forest is going through a bit of a rebuild of their own. Jake Dickert coming in from Washington State. They've got a little bit of talent, and I think they'll give North Carolina everything they've got. But this is, again, I think North Carolina's a better team on both sides of the ball and at the head coaching spot. They're going to win that game, and they're going to win the big rivalry game against Duke. They lost last year, 21-20, snapped a 5-game winning streak in the series come to an end. That's still fresh on their mind. I think Bill Belichick delivers in what's a big game for this team. I think they're going to shut down Darian Mensah, a great defensive game plan by Bill Belichick, one of the classic master classes that we've seen time and time again from him over the course of his career. They do beat Duke on senior day, too, that playing a role. They're 8-3. I mean, what a year already. What a year. Are they playoff bound? No. The ACC title bound? Probably not. But they've clinched an 8-win season at the minimum going into the season finale at NC State. And in that game, I'm going to pick the Wolfpack to win. So they're going to have North Carolina finishing 8-4. The Tar Heels have lost 4 straight games to the Wolfpack, including a 35-30 loss last year. They allowed the game-winning touchdown with, 25 seconds left. Now the Wolfpack, who struggled last year, should bounce back under Dave Doeren. You've got C.J. Bailey coming in, another year under his belt at quarterback. Their top rusher returns. Their top 2 pass catchers are back. They've got 7 starters on defense, a lot of transfers that should help improve that. Just like NC State a little bit more. They've got the Tar Heels number. They've got quite a bit of talent. Maybe a little bit more experience, you could argue. Think they're going to get this win. North Carolina finishes the year at 8-4, but 5-3 in conference play. 5-3 in conference play. That's pretty dang good for Bill Belichick. Look, the storylines going into this are you've got a 6-time Super Bowl champion, therefore he should make North Carolina into a national title contender. That's not how it works. It's just not how it works. Go look at other guys that have gone from college to the NFL or NFL to college. They don't come in and immediately transform a team into a national title contender in year 1. It can happen every now and then. It's not going to happen here. I mean, look at Nick Saban. I think he went, 1, 2, 3 games in his first year with Alabama after the they had to give up some wins. But regardless, he didn't have a great first year at Alabama, his first year there. And I think those two guys are very, very similar. North Carolina clinches an 8-4 season. They went 6-7 last year. They have a shot at a 9-win season if they can win their bowl game. I think Bill Belichick comes in here, works some wonders. I think the Tar Heels are competitive in every single game. This is not a team nor a coach that I expect to go in there and get blown out week after week. I don't think they're going to get blown out in any of their losses. Again, I think you could argue, you could flip the UCF and the Syracuse game if you want. I think the best case scenario for North Carolina this year is 9-3. So maybe you want to give them an extra win over Syracuse or NC State, something like that. Best case scenario, 9-3. I've got them at 8-4. I think that's an insanely successful season, especially because they went 6-7 last year. Bill Belichick going to work some wonders in Chapel Hill. How long will he be there? That remains to be seen. But for the time being, UNC fans just soak it in and enjoy it. You are making history here. This is a very shocking thing that no one really thought was ever going to happen. Hosting one of the best coaches of all time at any level in Chapel Hill, and they're going to clinch a winning season and then some. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. Do not miss out on those. Don't miss out on our weekly newsletters either. Also over on thegridironexpert.com, jam-packed with tons of exclusive content you won't get anywhere else. Go take advantage of it. Become a member of our GE Nation today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.